up, beautiful souls? Shout out to Transcendence Mental Health. We are putting on monthly retreats. And for those people who might feel called to experience the multi-dimensional wisdom, unconditional love, and safety of their own soul in a retreat setting, we are facilitating what is called the Heart Protocol. For me, it's been a revolutionary experience which has catalyzed me onto my highest timeline. It has helped me remember who I am, and it has given me a mission upgrade. And we're seeing what Western science calls miracles quite often, but it's actually science. So if you feel called to experience the multidimensional wisdom, unconditional love, and safety of your own soul, we invite you to our next retreat. Check out www.transcendencementalhealth.com. Click begin your journey to book a 15-minute free exploratory call with one of our team members to see if you're a right fit for the Heart Protocol. Shout out to Practical Peptides. If you guys haven't heard about the magic of peptides, check it out. Personally, it's helping so many people, and we're seeing people who are on semaglutide are literally losing approximately 15% of their body weight in a safe way with peptides, which mimic the natural signals of the body. It helps improve insulin levels, helps your blood sugar, helps you lose weight. Also sometimes can help you decrease inflammation. But most importantly, what I'm seeing is a lot of the testimonials are saying it's boosting their self-esteem. And so if you feel called to experience peptides, one of my favorites sometimes I inject is NAD. So NAD is a new medicine which can help decrease brain inflammation, can help heal the gut. But most importantly, I like to use it to increase my energy at the beginning of the day. And one of our intentions is to help each and every single person have the tools necessary to live their best life. So check out www.practicalpeptides.com. We're going to continuously expand our offerings of peptides, and use code Dr. Lee for 10% off. Peace. On to the episode. Let's go. What is up, beautiful, beautiful souls? Welcome to another episode of the Spiritual Psychiatrist Podcast. Today, it's a pleasure, grateful to have Ron Omani Carson on the show. I'm grateful to call him a brother and a friend. You know, when I really tune in to Ron and what I've learned from Ron, man, the two words that come to me are he shows up. He's built a multi-billion-dollar business, and he shows up for his company, but also he's shows up for his family. And I've been on Freedom Healing Ranch with him, and literally in person, he will show up for his tribe. And I think, out of all the amazing things that he does, and he always shows up with a smile, and he's got a twinkle in his eye. Really, he's got a twinkle in his eye, and it's really beautiful. And, I've witnessed just kind of his heart. I think that's the thing that really sets him apart, is the courage and the ability to hold all of humanity's beautiful, amazing, fun, joyful things, but also all of the pain. And he's fully aware of both of them. And he shows up for all of it. And I've witnessed that. And so I'm really happy to have Ron on the Omani on the show today. Yeah, thanks for being on the show, Omani.
Oh my gosh, Sam, it's so nice being on. It's so good to see you too.
Yeah, great to see you, my brother. So, I tend to believe, Omani, that every single step that we've taken in the past has somehow been preparing you, giving you the character traits that we need to complete our hero's journey. And when I tune into, everybody has their unique hero's journey. Yours is a fascinating and grand and beautiful one. And I always like to kind of understand, like, Ron, can you take us back? Because I meet people and they say, when I met you, you already had that sparkle in your eye, and, you were building Freedom Healing Ranch and the love was emanating. But, when I hear about how you built this conscious multi-billion-dollar empire, they would say Ron would walk in. He was a hunter. He was determined. He had that willpower, right? And can you walk us a little bit through your hero's journey?
Yeah, I'll give you
some key moments.
I'll give you the highlights.
Yeah, the highlights.
Because it also plays in, Sam, to why I go by Omani versus Ron. Now, professionally, everybody still knows me as Ron. Although on all of my stuff, I'm Ron Omani Carson. So I grew up as a farm kid, about an hour north
Mm,
of Omaha. And there was just my mom, she was manic depressive. So she was, you know what that, being a psychiatrist, you know what that
yeah.
ride is like. My dad is a functioning alcoholic, and him and I
Hmm.
have a good relationship today. But growing up, we didn't have. I was terrified of
Hmm.
my dad. My parents fought all the time. And I remember at night not being able to go to bed until they went to bed because I was always afraid they were going to get
Hmm.
in a physical fight. I just remember being
Hmm.
afraid the whole time I was growing up. And then when I was 17, my parents went broke. So we were, I would call us middle class, lower middle class family growing up. And in a small town, rural Nebraska, when
Hmm.
you go broke and lose whatever you have, it seared my soul. And so it set me on this path to
Hmm.
say, I'm never going to be poor. And the only kind of poor I knew was financial. And so basically, from the time I started my business out of my college dorm room when I was 18, and I was on a sprint, an all out sprint
Hmm.
to be successful, to overcome that embarrassment that I had from my parents, for our family going broke. And I remember thinking, if I ever had like $10,000, I wouldn't feel this way. And so I got 10 and I felt the same way. And I go, well, maybe it needs to be a bigger number. So maybe it needs to be 1 million. And I had the same emotional feeling, an empty feeling. And maybe it's 10 million. And I remember accomplishing that and going, oh my God, there is no number. Because at this point, this is way more money than I thought I'd ever have. I kind of panicked. It's like, what do I do? And like so many entrepreneurs or people that are trapped in this operating system of fear and scarcity, which I was, the once you realize that there's that gold under the rainbow, it's not there. You can chase it all you want. You can go as fast as you want, and it's really not there. The gold being the feeling that we want, the feeling of security, the feeling of love, the feeling of abundance. And so I just doubled down on doing more. And so I did that up until I was about 50 years of age. Been with the same woman for 42 years, Jeannie, who you've met. And we were separated because my mom died. And there was a piece of me too that said it's okay being miserable most of my life because this is all dress rehearsal for when I turned 50.
Hmm.
And I really committed I did a lot of talk therapy. Karosh, who's a brother to both of us. I went out and did a week-long session with him in Venice, California. And literally, I also found psychedelics. And it was really through this process that I ended up doing my first journey in 2016 in Topanga Canyon with another doctor. And I had, like so many of us, Sam, I had to be jolted into joy. But man, once I was jolted and I felt like Alice in Wonderland, popping into this new beautiful world that was so vibrant and so colorful. And it's like I've devoted my life to this work. And you and I both know Chief Phil Lane, who is really one of the top. He's really, in a lot of ways, chief of chiefs. Whether you go to the Amazon or you go to really any part of the world, Chief Phil Lane is well known for his bringing the eagle, the condor, the quetzal, and the hummingbird back together. And part of that process, and we had a bunch of um, leaders, really the indigenous leaders from around the world, from the Eskimos from Greenland to Chief Phil to many. We did some work at the ranch and they gave me a name, Omani, which means Tate Omani, which means walking into a stiff wind. And so now when I hear Ron, it reminds me of that fear and scarcity time of my life. And I never even liked my name. As a kid, I was being made fun of because of Ronald McDonald and all, how goofy that guy was. And the Omani stands for love and abundance. Ron stands for fear and scarcity. And I embrace them both. I couldn't be who I'm in today without the painful ingredients of my past. But that's what's led me to my second mountain. I just stepped down beginning of April as CEO of Carson Group, which I founded, like I said, when I was 18. And I'm launching a new business called OMEA, OMYA, which is really around helping other entrepreneurs shift that, or really anybody, shift that operating system from fear and scarcity to love and abundance. That's the first goal. But the bigger secondary goal, Doc, is to change our world from the bottom up, from the inside out, because leadership is not showing up in the world today. Our leaders are operating under fear and scarcity. No one trusts each other. Everybody's hoarding resources. We're killing our planet. And we got to do something. We got to do something fairly fast. And so let's create a movement, a granular grassroots movement around the world. And let's take our planet back with conscious leaders. I'm a big believer in conscious capitalism. And there's a Reader's Digest version of, my life from zero to, I'll be 60 here in a couple of weeks to 60.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much there, Ron. And, I want to dive into little pockets that you mentioned along your hero's journey. And, one of those things, the topics that I want to jump in with you is to get your wisdom on money, the energy of money, and spirituality. And I know you don't I just want to give some respect and to that, also that earlier version of you, because even though it was driven off of what it was driven off, it built a multi-billion-dollar company. And for anyone who's delved into business, that if you master one thing, you master everything. So, Ron, can you take us a little bit deeper into the energy of money, where it's moving, and just any wisdom that you've learned in building this multi-billion-dollar business about the energy of money, and what you wish spiritual people would understand about this?
Yeah. Well, first of all, money, wealth, all of it is just stored energy. If you think about it, right? Because I'm think about a monetary exchange. I'm going to give you some of my time and effort, and you're not going to reciprocate with time and effort in the moment. So you're going to give me an IOU on that time and effort. And it could come in the form of Bitcoin, could come in the form of US dollar, could come in the form of me giving you dinner, right? It's really just a virtual IOU, but it's easily portable. One of the terms I think about when I hear about money and wealth is, and you look at people that have so much. That would have been me. This is back to that. From the outside looking in, people thought I had this perfect life and this perfect world. And I felt so lonely and so empty and so hollow, because that's all I had. I had no spirituality. I felt like everything was a house of cards going to come crashing down at any moment. And the only thing I needed to do was just to keep going. And when I'm going to come back to that fear and scarcity mindset, Sam, is when that's what you have, all you do is hoard the resources. You just accumulate, even though you're going to accumulate way more than what you need. And you're right. The comment about building, I wouldn't trade any of my past for anything, because it taught me. And this is one thing I'll talk about, the conscious world. And another reason why I'm launching OMEA is there's a lot of really conscious leaders that don't have a lot of good business sense. And so this whole idea around being able to bring people together and give them a platform that they can be successful on, so we can help and shift more people into a more joyous, impactful life. But the money isn't the issue. It's the way we feel about the money is the issue. Lynn Twist has a phenomenal book. It's called The Soul of Money. Have you read it by any chance, Sam?
I have not.
Do you know Lynn Twist?
No.
Oh my
I don't know her
gosh.
personally.
Lynn is, you should have her on here. She started the Hunger Project. And so she devoted a lot of her life to that. And now she's started the Pachamama Alliance. She's co-founders with her husband, Bill. She's an extraordinary lady. I met her on Necker Island about a year and a half ago. And you talk about a lady that did some wild ass medicine retreats without any medicine. Like she
Mm,
will tell you a story that will blow your mind. Not, yeah, even relatively speaking, it was as much as we're around this stuff, but she
mm,
talks about the relationship of of money and what it means. She talks in her book about, and I can so relate to this, is some of the most generous people on the planet have nothing to give, but they still give. And there's
mm,
others that have all these resources, and they'll give very little. What's the difference? It's that
mhm,
operating system. Because when you don't have much, but your heart is full of
mm,
love and abundance, you give it freely because you
mm,
know the universe, your community, it'll just show up. It's like going to Burning Man. We have a saying at Burning Man,
mhm,
apply will provide. And I've been the beneficiaries of that many times. When your heart is right and
mm,
it's set, the earth, the planet, everybody, the energy just shows up to take care of you. When you're in this world,
mm,
I don't trust you because I don't trust me, right? We can't love or trust anybody more than we love or trust ourselves. Then all of a sudden, every little thing we do is about how can I fortify it for me? How can I
mhm,
take it from me? How can I protect it from you, any of you taking it from me, which is a really unhealthy way to live our life. So I've made the shift, and now I'm looking at and I can spot people like me from a mile away. When I
mm.
start to have the conversation, I
Yeah.
just had that right before we hopped on here with an entrepreneur. I said, "Are you happy?" "Oh yeah, I'm happy." "Are you really? Like, how happy are you really?"
Mm,
And then they got emotional and said, "Well, truthfully, not very happy at all. And here's why. And I don't know how to shift it."
mm, mm. Yeah. Beautiful. I love that. And so the soul of money, it's a stored energy unit. And when you surround it with the frequency of abundance, and then you can give freely, and the universe will return it to you in a way. And so it's almost like a frequency, a stored unit of energy. And I love that you talked about the soul of money. And Ron, we talked about our mutual friend Karush. I know you call him your cosmic father. Walk me through, like, I mean, here's Ron, before, and pushing, building a multi-billion dollar company. And you had that one week in Venice, and and I'm sure there's a lot of entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs out there who are exactly the same as you right now. What happened during that week, and to the frequency? And can you walk us through it? Was it like a sunrise, or was it like a thunderstorm? And how did that shift, kind of the frequency of how you relate to yourself and your soul and money, during your experience there? And any words of wisdom to that young entrepreneur out there who's driving, but who might feel that emptiness.
Yeah. So the first couple of days, so went out, and Kurosh said, "Listen, if you want, I can help you if you really want to be helped. Like, I can't help you if you don't want to be helped, but I need you to
Mm,
come out here and show up and unplug from everything. Like, I just need you to be
mm,
present. Um, I'm going to meet with you every day. You're going to have some group sessions you're going to be part of. And if you really want this to be a success, I need to really have you meet me, meet
mm,
the energy I'm going to bring to this." And so I went out, I unplugged, but on the second day, it
mm,
was I was so uncomfortable in one of these group settings that I
mm.
literally got in an argument with one of the people
Yeah.
and left. I just walked out and left.
Yeah.
And Karosh called me that night because I was staying in a
Mhm.
hotel, and
Yeah.
he walked me through it. Like, this is the amazing thing about Karosh is you can give me the most uptight, tightly wound A+ personality, and he can handle it, because that was me. That was me. And he wasn't, and he handled it just right. He said, he just listened. What was showing up for you? What were you feeling? And I was like, "God damn, I just want you to yell at me so I can yell back. And
Mhm.
then I can say, fuck this, and I'm going to go back to Omaha." That's really what I
Mhm.
was looking for, because I was that
Yeah.
uncomfortable. And boy, he stuck with me. And
Mhm.
he's got this calming way of
Yeah.
even today, when I check in with him, he texted me this morning. He's in London. He goes, "Hey, let's check in later today." And it's never just a check in with him. Literally, in
Mhm.
like 2 minutes, he's deep into my soul, helping me grow and work on what, because believe me, it's a continuous work. So day 2 didn't go so good. I was ready to go. Day 3, I was like, man, this guy really does understand. He knows my secret self, right? There's like very few people. There's only one of us that really know our secret self, and that is us. But Karosh is really damn close to knowing everything that
Yeah.
I know about myself. And actually, he did not talk about psychedelics the entire week. It was the fact that he asked me to unplug, Sam. And on Friday, I'm a pilot. So I'm sitting there kind of checked out. I'm doing my, checking weather, filing a flight plan in order to fly back to Omaha. And so I was like, oh, I know there was something I wanted to catch. It's literally, I'd stood up. I was getting ready to walk out of his office. And I said, Kurosh, I was reading this book about psychedelics. Do you think I would be a candidate for that? And he goes, absolutely. And I'm like, where the fuck was this all week? Why am I bringing this up to you? It really pissed me off that I brought it up. He said, absolutely. And he said, the medicine will call you when it's ready for you. And he said, I don't do it, but I'm going to connect you with someone that does it underground. At the time, you had to be underground. And 6 months later, I was out in Topanga Canyon. And by the way, the most thing, we had done is alcohol and, drinking beer, wine, and tequila, which we didn't count as a drug, right? Because society doesn't. So I'd never done anything bad or wrong or, I guess I'd smoked a little bit of weed in college, but that was it. And then I was a wow in Topanga Canyon. By the way, my mom and dad, both atheists. I had no spirituality, Sam. That first journey, I came out of it and I was like, wow, there's something else beyond this. I remember walking around Venice because I went back to Venice. I stayed in Venice because Topanga is not too far away. I remember the day after I did my journey, everything looked brighter. My mind was cleaner. I was vibrating this energy and people were looking at me and smiling. I don't know if they did before and I never noticed it, but I think I was just putting out a whole other energy. And this is when I'm going to devote my life to helping others jolt themselves into a different dimension and a different way of being.
And yeah, and you have, brother. And so what do you wish the world would know? I mean, it sounds like you had this experience where, it shifted your vibration, your energy, and literally changed the course and trajectory of your life with one sitting. And what do you wish the young entrepreneur, the world would know about psychedelics, from your experience?
From my experience, it unlocked a creativity and a knowing of myself and where I came from that was so powerful. Let's go back to I did my first journey when I was like 50. I guess it would have been 50. See, in 2016, so 8 years ago. So I would have been 51 when I did my first journey. That shift, Sam, as successful as I had been up to age 51, let's call it the financial success of life has tenfolded in the last 9 years. So not
Wow.
only did I start to enjoy my life, I slowed down. I was more intentional. I took time to meditate. I could literally look someone in the eye, and I don't care what the conversation was. I was interested in what people were saying. I could hear what people were saying. And people started coming into my life that were bringing me this love and abundance and this connecting and this caring and this even coddling at some point or being held, within the community, emotionally being held. I had never felt that before. And so what I would say to anybody out there regarding this is be open-minded about it. Don't abuse it, right? I think there's a lot of good people doing work and not. And make sure you've got a really powerful support group, the prepping for it. And then having the journey is just a small piece of it. And then post integration. How do I take what I've learned or what I experienced and bring it into my life in an everyday way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I love that. And I love that you said, you kind of said it unlocked a part of your brain where you could hear, where you could be present, and that somehow has shifted, unlocking that part of your brain to 10xing your business in a shorter amount of time because of that new level of creativity and connection that you had with yourself, which is actually also translating into your business life. And I know you took those words and you're actually now I know that, you were building Carson Wealth and then all of a sudden I remember like, you were a hunter. When I go to your Freedom Healing Ranch, I
Right.
want to talk about Freedom Healing Ranch, right? There's all these amazing trophy animals everywhere,
Yeah.
right? And you're a hunter. I know you used to climb mountains and you were like this wild man. And like now when we go to Freedom Healing Ranch, you literally turned it into there's no hunting there anymore. And like the peasants, they're all the animals have got the message. And even a
Yeah.
white hawk flew over, you know what I mean? And like it's completely transformed as you've transformed and that energy is radiating into Freedom Healing Ranch. Ron, I've been to Freedom Healing Ranch in Omaha. It's a beautiful healing center on top of a large aquifer. Can you tell us a little about Freedom Healing Ranch, the vision behind it, and what's happening there?
Yeah. Thanks for asking. So I grew up there.
Yeah.
We were farmers.
Mm,
This is a ground, a
mhm,
mile away. And I ended up buying this property in 1986. And I turned it into a hunting lodge. We had a hunting lodge. And
mm,
the truth is, Sam, I never liked killing anything ever. This was one of those things. My dad is an avid hunter, wanted me to hunt. And if you didn't hunt, then, you weren't a man, basically. And so, my whole life, like I did some things that like hunting is one of them. Listen, I eat meat as long as it's killed humanely. Like I'm for it. I just don't want to be the person killing anything. And so I wanted to do the opposite. I wanted to convert it into, not killing but healing, and not testosterone but love. A balance of the
mhm,
feminine and masculine energy, which really I think really resonates
mhm,
there. By the way, the lady that owned that property, we have a beautiful statue dedicated to her. Her name was Maud Smith. This is a remote place to live. She lived there until she was 102 by herself on this property, and then she died at 104, about 6 miles away in a nursing home. And the animal abundance, like the bobcats, we have pheasants and turkey and quail and bullfrogs and everything you can imagine. And they know it's a safe place. And so the animals have absolutely multiplied there. The other thing we're doing, and even since you've been there, we're creating, we have a 2,000-acre piece of just south of Freedom Healing Ranch
mhm,
known as OMEA, this new business ranch.
mhm,
Um, and we're putting in 130 miles of hiking and biking trails, 7 campsites. So we can do a lot of work down there. I want to build an intentional community. Food is a medicine. So
mhm,
really having, everything be coming from the property that we raise. We're not doing it yet, but I want to raise elk, bison, and really have a way of people coming, existing together in the form of an energy exchange. Freedom Healing Ranch, we do events there. We'll continue to we do retreats almost monthly. We have our gathering coming up, which I don't think you were to last year.
yeah,
It's October 3rd through the 7th. It's www.imaginor.com, all one word, imaginor. And this is about coming and being, you want the world we live in, or do you want an alternative? And so we had people from all over the world, from hunter gatherers will be there this year, from Ecuador, that have nothing but what they have on them, to people that own sports franchises that are billionaires, but they've made the shift. They've made the shift to love and abundance, and it's really an amazing elixir of energy. And so, if anybody's out there and this resonates with it, we'd love to see you. And by the way, Omaha, October in Nebraska is beyond beautiful. The trees are all in color. It's like low 70s for a high and low 50s for a low at night. We'll have lots of beautiful campfires, 11 bands playing. It's going to be spectacular. But this is all about that post community. You open yourself up and you find that there's another world and you want to connect with people. Yet when you go back to the rat race and people aren't conscious, it's really hard to operate. So you want to find ways that you can immerse yourself within a conscious community and the gathering. And we don't call it a festival. A gathering is where you show up and you're an active participant in exchanging energy versus just showing up and consuming.
Yeah. And, I just want to reiterate, like, oh man, I love what you guys are doing and you guys are doing it right. Whenever, every time I go to Freedom Healing Ranch, the way that the pre-journey, nobody's doing that preparation. And then there's the community gathers, and you've created this really safe space. And I never knew. I mean, I never knew Omaha was actually beautiful. I'm going to be honest. When I stepped onto that ranch, I was like, Omaha, and then I saw it, and there's a lake, and you know what I mean. And it's getting more. Just the physical environment is really beautiful. And it's on top of the aquifer, and then also the community aspect of the safety that has been created, the ability, the feedback I most often hear at the end of these, retreats are like, wow, like the safety that they felt to be themselves, authentically themselves, and to connect with the community and the space that has been created. And then also the post-journey support and the community aspect of Freedom Healing Ranch is really beautiful. And I've been to a lot of different retreat centers, and I really believe that, what's happening there is very special. The attention to detail. I think it's also really fucking beautiful that, together with your daughter, you guys are, I find that to be really cool that you and your daughter are putting on these amazing, shout out Maddie, these amazing retreats together. That's really cool. And then also, with that being said, you throw a good party and people will come. And I know I met you at Burning Man before, and I remember that, and I know you know how to have fun. I want to talk about that in a little bit. But imaginor.com is this amazing gathering, and Deadova is going to be there.
Yes.
And
Rick Doblin will be there.
Rick Dobbin's going to be there.
Yes.
Chief Phil Lane Jr. is going to be there, and Parangi, the conscious musician and brother, is going to be there. And so amazing, beautiful lineup. And I love that you said it's more than a festival; it's a gathering, and it's about the community, and people are active participants, and that's special. And I feel like that's what is needed, the community aspect of it. And so we're going to link imaginor.com in the show notes, October 3 to 7 in Omaha, Nebraska, and we'll definitely link that. But the first time I went to a Deadova concert in Guatemala, I literally her voice transported me into a different dimension. So I was like, "What the fuck? This is crazy,
Right.
man!" Like, yeah, it's amazing. Like she's carrying codes. She literally
Sam,
channels codes.
she
Yeah.
was playing that night. We all looked at each other. It's like, oh my
Mhm.
God, what's happening? Like my soul
Mm,
had never felt that way with music. And I never even
mm,
heard of Deadova until she was
mm.
playing. And Perenge, like you said, would be there, which, everybody loves Perenge. But
Parangi's next level, man. The brother is spitting codes out.
right.
He's activating people during his music. It's insane. So I mean, there's gonna be music, and Rick Doblin, who's the founder of Maps, and a lot of amazing speakers are going to be there as well. It's going to be
And I
epic for
do want to
sure.
shout out Maddie. I have three beautiful daughters, three
Hmm.
grandchildren, but Maddie's been on this. We both have really, grown together and in doing what we
Hmm.
do at the ranch. She just got back from doing the Camino in
Hmm. Oh yeah, that's
Portugal.
right.
She's been on this beautiful, beautiful spiritual walk, physically, literally, and emotionally. And so, couldn't be more proud and how lucky to get to work with one of your children.
Absolutely, man. And for such a great cause, shout out Maddie. Um, Ron, one of my favorite sayings that you say is "Be selfish to be selfless." Transition from defense to offense. Can you take us a little bit deeper into being selfish to be selfless?
Yes. This is a society, the programming is so damn powerful, Sam,
Hmm.
that I challenge people to be original thinkers. Don't let other people tell us how we should think and feel. And one of them is, and like working moms here at Carson, we have so many working moms, and they work themselves to death because they show up as a wife, they show up as a mother, they do their job, and they don't take care of themselves. And then they break down, and then pretty soon the golden goose is dead. And so I'm such a believer in self love. And really, you need to be, I feel like if you can be as good as you can possibly be, then you create excess energy, and you can give it away. You can give your energy away because the motion is so powerful that's coming through you that it's unlimited. Then there's not a lot of friction in your life, and it just flows. If your defense versus offense means I had so much shit, I had a sexual abuse, I had low self-esteem, confidence, I didn't love myself, I had a lot of stuff to clear before I could go from, I call it being defensive to offense. And a lot of people say, well, you know what? I'm perfect. I don't need any help, until they come and they realize just how much stuff will show up that's not even, I'd say 80% of the people that come and have their first experience at the ranch, they set these intentions. The intention doesn't even come up. It's other stuff that we don't even know that's buried, that you either have anchors or engines in your life. And we can have these emotional anchors that hold us back and we don't even know it until we show up. Once you've cleared that, Katie, bar the door, because we're starting to open up channels and parts of our brain and creativity. And all of a sudden, we're turning what used to be anchors into these amazing engines to propel us. Life just gets easier. I've never had an easier time getting out of bed. I fall asleep and I enjoy every bit of my life, but I could not have done that without really clearing. I had to play defense. I had to just get myself to a spot where I even liked myself before I could then start playing offense and really elevate my life to another level. And, Maslow talked about, most people think that the Maslow's hierarchy ended at self-actualization. And he actually realized it's not self-actualization, it's total transcendence. And he died right when he had done this work around the peak being total self-transcendence. Once you clear and you continue to do the work, you can live this total transcendent life. You can live in your higher and lower self simultaneously. You can tap into the unified consciousness that exists, the home that we all came from, that all return back to. I admit the first time when I heard you talking about a lot of this stuff, I'm like, man, that's way over my head. And I'm not so sure I believe it. Until I did my Bufo experience, then I had, oh my God, you always say we haven't even had breakfast yet. And I don't know if you remember this, but we came out of that and I looked at Sam, I said, we just had breakfast.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was
I remember that
profound.
Yeah.
And and I'm like, and my dad's 83 and I'm like, Dad, I got some great news for you. It's like, I'm going to miss you, but I'm not going to mourn you when you die, because let me tell you where you're going. And he's like, I don't believe in that bullshit. And I go, the great news is you don't need to, because we're all going to the same spot, whether you believe or not. And it's been a while for me.
Beautiful. So prioritizing self-love, putting yourself first, clearing out the shit defense. Yes, we got to clear it out, but putting self-love first so that you can be selfless, overflowing, transcended from that place of overflowing energy that's flowing through you.
And Sam, the more you do that, the more you attract the same thing into your life. People, places, things, and opportunities will show up like you've never, ever expected. And you can see it clearly that is going to be impactful for your future life and what you want to do and how you're going to do it.
Ron, what are some of your favorite ways to pour into yourself these days? For those people out there who might be like, oh, okay, how do I, what is Ron's favorite, Omani's favorite ways of being selfish?
That's a great question. Get enough sleep. Get enough sleep. Like, get a sleep. I just put this machine in my bed called Soul Tech. And it's a frequency machine that sits underneath the bed. And I always slept good, but I'm telling you, there's something to this thing. It's like, I am like, Jeannie even said, man, you're falling asleep like that. And I know I got 9 hours of sleep 2 nights ago, and I got almost 9 hours of sleep last night. And I don't recall anything through the night, which is so different. So getting enough sleep. Also working out, leading indicator for longevity is lean body mass. Make sure that you're taking care of your body. I'm a big biohack fiend. So someone that came through the ranch had this bodysuit called the Catalyst. And for 20 minutes a day, you put this bodysuit on and it puts
Mm-hmm.
you, it shocks your body. I mean, I'm already sore from yesterday's workout. So catalyst, um, drink plenty of water. I don't drink alcohol. Maybe I've had 4 drinks in 4 years now. So very, very, very little. Meditation. And then
Mm-hmm.
things like cryotherapy, cold plunge, red light therapy, the Rasha machine. You know, you and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
own a Rasha machine. Shift wave.
absolutely.
A shout out to
Mm,
Dr. North. I mean, the Rasha is an expensive investment, well worth it.
sure.
But the shift wave, we have one here at Carson and we have one up at the ranch. It vibrates like it is so healing, whether you need a pick me up temporarily or you need to, really work on your sleep or your meditation. And so find a rhythm that works for you, and then relationships. I'm a big
Mm,
believer. I have fewer but deeper, meaningful relationships in my life.
mm,
And research shows, and I'm a living example of this, strong relationships add such a vitality and energy to your life. But it also comes from doing that work first, on ourselves.
absolutely beautiful. So back to the basics: sleep, exercise, and then from there, some of the toys that can lift your frequency, the biohacking technologies, which you mentioned some of them, and then eventually, like once you're doing that, the connection, the authentic connection that we have with each other. Ron, I know, one of the funnest kind of memories that I have from Freedom Healing Ranch is when Jeannie was telling me about like when you guys were younger, like in the younger days, you guys would prank each other. And she was
Right.
telling me some stories and like, and like it was really funny. So I started realizing like, like you love to have fun. In fact, that's one of the values at Freedom Healing Ranch. Can you just talk to us a little bit about the importance of having fun and what's that been for you?
Yeah, fun and play. Again, back to we've been conditioned that you only should get to
Mhm.
have fun and play a little bit of the time. And, we know what we need for us. And I need a lot more fun and play than I'd had the first,
Mm,
51 years of my life. Jeannie, who you mentioned, we've been together since we were 17. We laugh. Last night, we got to laughing so hard. She's playing a practical joke on somebody. Like, I'm pretty good at smelling it before I get taken by it. But she was even last
yeah,
night. She was when I got home. She was sneaking around to try to come and scare
yeah.
me, and no, the fun and play is one of the core values at the Freedom Healing Ranch. To get out and play and have fun, and even psychedelics. People think, oh, if you're having fun with it. Um, but if it's an intentional fun, like if it's not, there's a fine line, I think, with any substance for it to be abused, or you're doing it just because, hey, I want to elevate my energy, I want to be in the same vibrational frequency. But fun and play is really important. And the other thing too, Sam, is once you get in this frame of mind, go for it. Think about what do you really, really want in life. Go out 20
Mhm.
years. I don't care how old you are. You could be 80. Go out 20 years. When I'm 100, hey, I
Mhm.
want to be alive. I want to be effective. And here's all my kids and grandkids are going to be. Um, Also, disconnect yourself from the linear past. So often when we look to the future, we apply things linearly and say, okay, if I just have to do more of this in order to get what I want. No, don't think about the past. Think about setting things that are not linear at all, but exponential. Because if you can imagine it, you can achieve it. If you can believe it, you can achieve it. So believing and imagining are the big 2 steps. And then allow yourself to go in, I believe, with psychedelics responsibly, have a plan, have a facilitator, and just watch what happens with the creativity on how you can assemble and create your life the way you want it to be, where you're, on a scale of 1 to 10, your low points are an 8 and your high points are a 10. The first 51 years of my life, my highest point would have been a 6, and my lowest point would have been a 1. So by incorporating something bigger than yourself, setting big goals, having fun and play, self love, you can move into you can have a seismic shift in your life and enjoy life more than you ever thought possible. Last year at the gathering, I had a handful of people came up and said this was the greatest time of my life. Or people coming to the ranch saying, I was stuck and I'm on fire now. I had two people last year tell me after the ranch, I was going to kill myself. That's just how you talk about having to play defense. Heard from one last night, another one a couple of days ago. They are thriving. They were there, and now their life is on fire in a really beautiful way. So do the work, because we got it within us to be way happier than we think we can be and have more joy in our life than we think we can have.
Beautiful. Aho. Ron, I know our mutual friend, Chief Lane Jr., the Native American indigenous populations had a special ceremony for you. And they put a lot of prayer and thought, from my awareness, into the name. And I know that they gave you the name, Chief Phil gave you the name Omani, which means to run into a stiff wind. And like, if you think about that, I was really contemplating that, like, who runs into a stiff wind on purpose, right? And I know that these names are sometimes prophetic. And, with all of these things that are said, I know that you just said, imagine it, believe it, achieve it. And I remember, I'll never forget, like, I asked you one time, I said, hey, Ron, man, if you were in an elevator with your younger self and you had a ride up the elevator, and you, knowing everything you know now, with the wisdom you have now, what would you tell your younger version? And what you said was 3 words: go for it.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that. But Earth is in a very interesting situation right now. And I know that you're fully aware of the whole business side, the whole, and in fact, I just want to, I don't even know how to bring this up, but I know that in one ceremony, there's very few parts on this planet, and I'll never forget it, that can hold all of the pain of Mother Earth, as well as all of the love of Mother Earth simultaneously. And I'll never forget when that moment where you were holding all of that for humanity. And I know you're a dreamer. I know you go for it. I know you imagine. I know you believe. What is your vision for New Earth with this new name you've been giving, Omani? What do you see for humanity? What is your vision for Earth?
I think things are getting, in the process of getting so out of whack, so unbalanced, that it's a good thing, believe it or not, because it's going to wake everyone up to say, I want to have an active role in bringing back, clawing back our planet. I see a world where people don't want to kill each other just because they believe differently than them. That just comes from being fearful, right? Being scared. I see a world where the new generation, I'm super bullish on humanity. But listen, either I'm bullish because we're going to go extinct and our genes are going to go back into the elixir, and we've had 7 mass extinctions and we've always emerged stronger than the last. But I'm also optimistic that maybe we don't have to go that route, that we have the way. I also believe that AI, we're going to all have the ability to ascend our consciousness into a format that we can live forever, and that is ultimately, rejoining this unified consciousness that we all came from, will all return to. So I really believe that while we're here this time, this group of humans, we have to start with the basics. We have to start taking care of each other, and we can take our planet back. I mean, this climate change, I'm sitting here in Nebraska. We have had the worst weather we've ever had. We had a 100-degree swing in temperature in February in 10 hours. 100-degree swing in 10 hours. We had an F5 tornado wipe out 400 homes. Last week, we had 90-mile-an-hour winds hit here, and 270 some thousand people were without power, the largest ever. So listen, if we don't come together, and we can look at the top, we can look at the leaders of the top. They're asleep at the wheel. It's all about, they're trying to discredit the fact that we're in this precarious position as a planet, but it's out there, and there's enough people that care. Enough people that are becoming awake to the fact that we can't do the things the way we do it. And I believe AI has the power to unite humanity in a way it's never been united for the common good of what our future looks like for future generations. That's the world I see. And I'm trying to do my part here, but there's a lot of places that are emerging around the world that are just like us. And even at the gathering last year and this year, there'll be a lot of these micro communities that will be there that are doing great work all over the world. And Sam, you're doing a big part of that. I know you're connected to a lot of these micro communities. Let's take our planet back for the benefit of the people that want to operate it under love and abundance, and let's get rid of the fear and scarcity model by doing our work.
Oh, brother. Fuck yeah, let's go. I feel it. Okay. Ron, Omani, my brother. Man, I think you're such a unique soul. And I know that, like, because like when I sit in that circle at Freedom Healing Ranch and I see you up there, and there's something about your heart that I know if Omani's going for it, there's something in me that believes it. You know what I mean? It just believes in what you're going for. I believe that you're gonna get it. And so, you know, when let's just kind of, some people say when you kind of look at your funeral and you're looking back in reverse, and Ron Omani built a multi-billion-dollar company. Now he's pouring into Freedom Ranch. He's building Imaginor. He's building OMEA. He's doing all these beautiful things. At the end of it all, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind, Omani, for humanity?
Yeah, Omani, the way I want it to read, I've written my eulogy because I believe in going to the end and working backwards, is Omani shifted the way we interact with each other for a better world. That's what I want my legacy to be. That I had a part in the movement that's happening.
And so it is. Omani, hey, thank you so much for coming on the show. Truly appreciate it. October 3 to 7, imaginor.com, Rick Doblin, Deodova, Parangi on the largest aquifer in America in Omaha.
In the world. Ogallala water.
In the world.
The largest in the world. The largest water aquifer in the world. We sit right on it, top of it. Yes.
Fuck yeah. Check it out. We'll link it in the show notes. Omani, any last words for any listeners out there?
Just that what an exciting time to be alive and take an active role in changing our world, because someone else isn't going to do it. It takes every one of us to do our part to create the world we want to live in.
Thanks for coming on the show, Omani.
Thank
Truly
you.
appreciate it.